What's up, guys? X-Men 97, Wolverine and Gambit. These are two that I'm very much looking forward to because I think I want this entire line. So, no joke. Wolverine, Gambit, X-Men 97. The X-Men are coming back to streaming, not television, but coming back. The show that I grew up with. My favorite X-Men show? That's fair to say, because there's been a couple of them, and that was definitely my favorite of the X-Men cartoons that have ever been produced. I think it was the absolute most solid one ever done, except for when we get to the last episode, where like the animation egregiously changes for no reason whatsoever, and like it's really jarring and puts the whole show, it's messed up. It doesn't work, it feels wrong, and it's just a terrible send-off and end to the series at large. But here's our chance to redeem it. X-Men coming back, X-Men 97, fantastic. And these toys that are about to launch alongside of it, oh my god, these look fantastic. I want this whole line. But I found 4 of them today at a Target. I found Bishop, I found Magneto, I found Gambit, I found Wolverine. My initial idea was that if I found Gambit and Rogue, I would get them, because I want them for the shelf. I think they'll be amazing. But I didn't find that. There was no Rogue, so I picked up the 2 that made the most sense. My favorite characters of that time were, without a doubt, Gambit. I did Gambit, but it's because I was looking at the camera and it kind of threw me off. Gambit and Wolverine. In fact, this is the Wolverine I have wanted on my shelf since I started collecting anything X-Men, period. Not a joke. The Tiger Stripe Wolverine, I feel, has to this point still not been done justice. And this is the chance right now, right here, right now. So that's going to be a big deal. And this is hopefully going to replace a Gambit that is on my shelf currently that I'm not exactly thrilled with anymore. So these could be 2 absolute wins. Let's get into it. Okay, here we go. So, Wolverine, Gambit. These were 2 of my favorite characters. Move the camera a little bit. From the X-Men cartoon, the original 90s series. I just absolutely thought these 2 were like the coolest guys on the team back then. Not that my opinion has completely changed. Maybe out of these characters right here that we have in the first wave, probably Wolverine and Rogue are the ones I was looking forward to getting the most. But Gambit absolutely was one of my favorite characters back then. And not that that's... we'll say that I've lost a lot of interest in him over time. But in terms of that series, he was easily one of my tops. So, we need to talk about these. I've heard people say that the card backs are something they don't like. I've heard this from a couple of people actually, and it kind of surprised me. Well, first off, the card backs have a pretty solid representation of the figure on the back. They have a cross-cell that shows us all the characters that are in the wave. We're looking at Magneto, Wolverine, Rogue, Storm, Bishop, Gambit. For some reason, these 2 are labeled as Marvel's Rogue and Marvel's Bishop. Makes me wonder what that's about. I don't personally know what that's about. And then, of course, we have all the words and yada, yada, yada. So, here's the issue that I'm hearing people talk about. They don't think that these were necessarily card backs, that these needed to be card backs. I've heard a couple of people say that they prefer that these would have come out, and if we were going back to plastic, we went back to the boxes. Now, I'm different. I think it's probably a decent idea that if we're going back to plastic, which we are, and we're going back to Windows, the retro cards might be the way to go for Marvel Legends. 1, I think it's just as much plastic So I don't think that's where they're saving money. I don't think that's necessarily the idea here. It would also be, I imagine, just as much cardboard. I don't imagine that this is any different of a buy or a cost value than simply putting out the boxes that we've already seen, the boxes that we know of, that we're used to. But I think there's something good about this. One, going back to the windows almost guarantees that we have the on-card collectors back in the market. That brings back sales right off the bat. People will say, yeah, you can see the characters, blah, 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 this is what I want. And it's true. We want mint on-card collectors. We want them in the hobby. If they come into the hobby, they buy the card backs like this. This is what they want. They want to see the character. And this is 100% you see the character in all its glory. That, I think, is solid. Second reason I think this is a good idea is because even in the windowed boxes, I have seen flips. Character flips are happening even in those boxes. In fact, Motu, I came across a couple of boxes where for some reason, instead of He-Man being in those boxes, Faker was in the boxes. And I remember the very first time I ever came across it, I saw a Faker in a He-Man box and thought, why would you even make that swap? Faker costs more money than He-Man. And I was very confused by the swap in general. Well, with these, because of the way these are packaged, you can't do that. I don't think it's possible to do it. Like, I would have to cut this, or I would have to damage the card in some way. Let him fall. There's a little bit of a gap down here, but if I start peeling it, the cardboard goes over that point of the gap. I think we learned something when we left plastic. When we left plastic and we went to closed boxes, we learned a couple of things. One, we learned that the character swapping thing is a real problem. Two, we learned that mint on-card collectors are a big part of the hobby, and they left when they no longer had a purpose to be mint on-card collectors. This solves both of those problems. So I don't know if this is going to be the standard, but it looks like it from what I'm seeing with a good portion of Marvel Legends that's coming out all of a sudden. Such as another character that I want right now is the new Spider-Woman costume. I think that costume is fantastic. That black and red that she's rocking right now, fantastic. Chef's kiss, perfect redesign. I really like it. I like it a lot. In fact, I did a video a while back talking about that costume, and I enjoy it. I can't remember how long ago I did that. It was back when they very first changed it. But I like that costume, and she comes on one of these cards. So I think this may be a standard moving forward. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't claim to have all the information. But if it is, they just solved two problems right off the bat. People, inbox collectors, they're back in the hobby. Why wouldn't you? These are perfect. And we no longer have to worry about that swap crap, because not only can we see them this time, but even the old parents, the people that are buying toys for kids that don't know that a character has been swapped, can look at this and see that the card has been damaged. If the card is damaged, they don't buy it. Two problems solved. And it helps the employees that don't know any better, which is fantastic because, like I argued before, these employees that don't know any better, they get brought a toy and told, hey, something so-and-so, blah, 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 and they just take the return. They don't know, even if they can see in the box that it's not the right figure, they don't necessarily know. Does some random Walmart employee know one He-Man figure over another He-Man figure? No, they don't, and they don't care. So we need to dummy-proof it, and I think this dummy-proofs it. It helps inbox collectors, it helps openers, it helps people to know what they're buying, so it helps the shoppers, and it helps the employees. These are the best possible options. I wouldn't mind at all if these stuck around. Let's open them. All right, let's start with Wolverine, shall we? Bam, there he is, Wolverine. Okay, as I already stated, Wolverine is easily one of my favorite characters ever. Now, he comes with 2 different hands, no claw hands. He comes with claw hands. He comes with a cowl piece right here so that you can actually put the cowl on so that it's hung back on this part right here, which you imagine should have already been on him. And then he comes with the other head, the head that I specifically want for this in general. So let's check out the face, even though I'm not going to be using it. Here is the face for the Wolverine, and it is a solid face. It's real good. It's mean. It's got some real personalities. I kind of like that little one piece of hair that comes down right there. I like that too. I like this hair on the arms here. That's really solid. I actually kind of like this. I really like the colors. The color here is really fantastic, actually. That yellow and blue is really striking. Cartoon colors for sure, but heck, on a personal level, think that that looks absolutely fantastic. I think that it blends really well. It works really well for him. I like this in every single way. Now, I want to compare him to my problem. And that's going to be this guy right here. This is the Tiger Stripe Wolverine that I waited forever to get. Forever I waited for this guy to come out. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say that. I mean, I waited and waited and waited and waited for this guy to hit the market. And when he finally did, I was very excited, and I bought him. But Wolverine tends to have an honest problem. One, I didn't think that his colors were quite right. I actually prefer this way brighter yellow. I don't necessarily hate either one, but there it is. Let's see here. Push his stomach down a little bit. Not bad. His body's a little bulkier, I think. It's hard to explain. His legs feel a little thicker than this Wolverine's, and his body, his torso feels a little thicker. I actually think the arms are a little bit better on the hairiness right here. They don't have any color or anything like that, but I think they're done a little better. And who has that better tight butt? Who has the Wolverine butt? I don't know. I guess it's a tie on the butt. His boots are cooler, though. I think they snap up a lot better. That's solid. The pinless is fantastic, by the way. Pinless legs, pinless arms. That is an absolute 100% mega sell. I really like pinless figures. I just think they're absolutely fantastic. I really like them. I just love that feeling you get from not seeing the articulation and whatnot get broke up. So let me check real quick. I'm going to pop his head off. Came off very easy. Fantastic. Let's put this here like it's supposed to. Supposed to hang down like that so that we actually have the cowl or whatever down. Let's see how this effect runs real quick. That's not bad. That's not bad. I like it. I think it's solid. I think it works. That's not a bad effect. And the colors, actually, the way that part matches up real perfect right there and everything, I don't hate it. Chances of me displaying it that way are very, very, very low, but I like it for what it's worth. We got good rotation on the ankles and everything like that. This is a Marvel Legends figure. I'm not going to go over it completely, but I will say that he feels really solid and he can kick his own butt. Let's talk about the 2 major things. I want to see the cowl head, because that's the head that I'm more than likely going to put on him all the time. Oh, I dropped it on the floor. Let me get it real quick. Put his cowl head on. Dang, I'm actually having trouble securing it. It is giving me real trouble. I don't know why. Hold on. Okay, I got it on there. That was actually pretty tough. It feels like the cowl head was really hard to get on there. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but it was honestly giving me troubles. It feels tight. And as you can tell, the head looks small compared to the older Tiger Stripes Wolverine's Tiger Stripe. Like, okay, so like his head, it moves very easily. I'm having no problems with it whatsoever. I don't see any seam problems. He looks up, he looks down. I have no problem with it at all. His head is a little smaller. Wolverine, would you stand up and stop acting a fool? Fall down, you know what? But like this one, as you can see, I turn it and everything. I got full turn. I pushed it down as much as it will push down. So it's not going any further. That's not the problem. He does look up. That's not an issue. He does look down. He can straight up be mopey Wolverine. There seems to be, I don't know if I just cannot get it on there or what. He's got to tilt this way. He's got to tilt this way a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. His head was really giving me problems here, but I got it on there and it looks right from the side here. It doesn't look bad. I don't think we're having any problems there. Let me get a better focus on him. It doesn't seem like it's pushed down all the way, but I'm telling you, I got it on there. See? Like I'm not popping it off. You see what I mean? It's on there. It just feels very different than the other head. I don't know what that's about. It really gave me some troubles, but now that it's on there, it's definitely on there and it's not giving me too much trouble. Now, so head-wise, it seems a little smaller, but these pop a lot heavier, and because that was part of the cartoon that I grew up with, I actually like that quite a bit. So I'd personally tell you that I like that a little more. I like his colors a little more. I like the fact that he's pinless a lot more. I think that's absolutely fantastic. These, they decided not to matte like this. This is really glossy. This is not, which I'm actually okay with because like I said, it's cartoon colors and I expect it to have a certain kind of sheen to it or a certain kind of a flatness, I guess, animation color-wise that then he shouldn't have as he's trying to be the realistic one. Let's talk about my biggest problem with the Wolverine characters right here. The claws, bub. Look at those. Those are terrible. Like, they're super wobbly. He fell down one night. Literally fell from the distance of the bottom shelf to the floor. Ugh. And I picked him up and one of his claws were broke off. And I couldn't find the stupid claw and I couldn't put it back on. And right here, they're all super flimsy, wobbly all over the place. He has always bothered me. His claws have always bugged me. I don't like them. I think they're done very well on the gray and black Wolverine, though. Those claws are very thick, and they hold out very well, but I didn't get that on this one. I got good claws on two other Wolverines that I can think of, though. And sadly, my Tiger Stripe Wolverine was not one of them. Let's see his claws. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's a major selling point. They seem solid. I'm not flimsying all over the place. I don't seem to be like I can pull them out. They seem like they're strapped here. Let me get a better focus here. They seem like they connect here. Not inside. Not like in the little top part of the knuckle where the old one's connected. And I think that's a big help. And I think that guarantees the way that the claws will look in general. I think that's a big help. I really do. It keeps wanting to focus on the other Wolverine. Maybe could stretch that out a little more, but I also think that I could easily take heat the claws up and hold them out a little bit, and it would take shape and it would hold very easily. But I think this is, look, when you're talking about Wolverine, you're talking two different aspects here. The costume you like, the claws. This is the costume I've liked the most. I really loved the Tiger Stripe Wolverine. I always have. It was the one that I grew up with. So sue me. I'm playing nostalgia here. But as far as I'm concerned, the Tiger Stripe is my favorite costume. He has the better claws. He has the better mask on a personal level, and he has the better colors. He's pinless. He's the best Tiger Stripe I think I've ever seen. Yeah. Which means that he probably no longer has a place on my shelf, in all honesty. And you could say, oh, I don't know about that, Bill. But like, I think I'm going to put him up for sale at this point. I think that really made my decision easy and final. I think this is the best Wolverine currently on my shelf now. And I don't think I have any problem saying that. I think I like this quite a bit. Now, the next figure that is up for debate right now, that's the only Gambit that I currently have on my shelf. I can't remember from what collection he's from. That might be Marvel's, was that Select? Or was that the original Legends years back? I honestly cannot remember which of those that is. But he is not, he's from an older collection. And he has been standing for a very long time with my fantastic, no joke, one of the best figures ever, Rogue. She's going to be hard to beat. She's one of the ones I'm really wondering about when I get the other Rogue. Even if I really love the new Rogue, I don't think she's going anywhere. I think she has a permanent spot on my shelf. She is one of the best figures that I literally own. She is absolutely fantastic. And for a long time, I've had them set up on the shelf like this. I like the idea. I like Remy and Rogue. I think that just works very well. It always has. And I don't think that's going to change in general for me. Pretty much because, of course, when I got into this property, I got into it through the animated series. Hand of cards. Card of cards. So he comes with an extra card. He comes with this hand that shoots cards, and we will check out both. Let me pop him out of the plastic. Get ready for noise. Bow. There's some noise. And there's the new one. He is tall, man. Like, he is still going to be a good tall figure. I'm actually really happy about that because I'll be able to put him next to the Rogue. That looks right. I feel like that's solid. I feel like he will actually line up very well, and he'll be just tall enough without kind of being overly tall, because this guy is a giant over here. So that's going to be solid, and that's going to be one of the main selling points. I'm curious about the other Rogue, though, because this might stay a thing if the other Rogue doesn't necessarily, I feel, match up with him the same way that I would like. But for this character right here, let's first off check this out. There we go. That's solid. That's a really cool effect. I like that quite a bit. He's got the card, as you can see, and he holds the card, and he's got this really cool effect. That's going to be real nice for taking pictures and everything like that. That's a hardcore, awesome sweep in his hair right there. Let's take this so we don't get it on the carpet or whatever. Hey, man, look at that. Peace or victory or whatever you want to say that is. Bam! There's two of them. Like, he's cool. He's awesome. I like the fact that this coat is not going to come off. I'm fine with that because I don't ever intend to take the coat off. Once again, this guy's not pinless, though. I find that to be interesting. I don't know exactly why that is. It looks like his arms are pinless, okay? But his legs are not pinless. But in so saying that, in general, he has a lot of movement even with this coat on, which is going to be good because you're going to want that so he can use like his throwy cards hand so that you can get like a pose like this going or something like that, and he could be throwing cards out. In fact, let's see it real quick. This is the hand, so I'm going to pop this hand out of socket, boop, pop this hand into socket, boop, real easy by the way. Let's give him the stick. And let's get an action pose real quick, just off nothing more than just bam. He just shooting the cards out. Whoo-bow. There we go, right? There's an action pose. Real simple, real easy. Got the action pose. Didn't even have to try, really. And that means he's got a lot. He can even use this coat to get really sweet down dynamic poses because the coat will actually help him balance. So even without getting stands or anything like that, he's got a lot of solid movement to him, which I think is important. Yeah, you could argue that the coat, if it would have been soft goods and we could have like messed with it a lot more, would have been cool. But either way, that is really solid. It is really cool. I really like that. The colors are really good. As usual, he's a Marvel Legends. He's going to have the rotating on his feet. We know about that. The feet will, of course, go up and down. This is a little tight. I'm not going to push it. I'd rather work out the feet, heat them up, pop them, and whatnot. I'm not going to be stupid and force it and then find out that I don't have a figure later on because I was an idiot. There we go. Wow, that's so cool. That's a cool hand, man. Look at that. That is a cool hand. It is a really cool effect hand. It's very simple, but it's really awesome. Real kicker is, do I do this so he can hold a card? Or do I do this so he can throw cards and then put him on the shelf in a wicked action pose because he's friggin' Gambit and he deserves wicked action poses, right? I mean, he is, man. He's Gambit. He's awesome. This is so good. This Gambit is fantastic. I like this a lot. This, I've always had a little bit of problem with. I've always kind of felt like it's... How do I put this? This Gambit right here has always made me feel like Jean-Claude Van Damme stars as Gambit in Card Thrower. Like, it never felt right to me. Some people probably think this is the coolest Gambit ever released. Hey, you're more than welcome to that opinion. And I'm not necessarily saying that the new Gambit trumps everything that's ever been released. Maybe he absolutely doesn't. But I do think that as it stands right now, I can finally take this guy off my shelf, which is fine, because he's a little bigger and he takes up some decent space, and I have a Gambit that I'm more than happy with on the shelf. And he has multiple ideas too, because he can hold the hearts, and he can stand along with her, and they both look great together, and I don't think I'll have any problems with that kind of thing. I think they'll be absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So far, the first two figures are great. So, you're welcome to agree or disagree on any of that. I mean, that's the way it is. We all collect, and for different reasons, we like different things. Here we go. That's just the way that it is. There are some things that are going to appeal to me, and they're going to speak to me about why a thing belongs on the shelf. And if I'm going to stock the shelf with X-Men, one, it has to be X-Men that relate to the time that I cared about the X-Men the most. Two, it has to be representations of characters that I feel make the most sense in those representations for what I'm going for. He always bothered me about those claws. And for years I found ways to hide it. He has a mark. He got a word label on his legs that I didn't talk about, but that's always bothered me too, that he has print on his legs. That always bugged me. Now, I don't have to worry about that. And this guy doesn't have to be on the shelf hidden where I had him fighting with people and kind of was able to move his claw back and kind of hide the fact that the claw was busted. I don't have to worry about that anymore. It does, however, bring a little bit of a problem. This Wolverine is not exactly a Wolverine that I can do resale on. Maybe that means that this Wolverine just became parts. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't really do a lot of customs, but we'll see what comes out of it. But either way, I think this Wolverine comes off the shelf. I honestly do. I already mentioned to you some of the problems that I had with this Gambit. Even though the coat is really cool, it's also really restrictive, and it's always just this. And he's big. He's from one of the old collections, and he does not move well at all. I mean, he just is very... Yeah. He's from one of the older collections that just these things were like little statues. They weren't like little figures, in all honesty. That's just the way that they were. Where the new Gambit has all that new modern articulation, while still his legs being pinless would have been a bigger sell to me. Kind of like how Wolverine got the full treatment. Wolverine got the pinless knees that I can see. He got the pinless elbows that I can see. Like, I don't see pins on this guy anywhere, and I'm looking. I'm literally looking. I'm almost trying to find them. I don't see them. I don't see that problem. I'm surprised. I see it on her, but she's an older figure, and I understand that. And I don't see it on his arms, but I do see it on his legs, which is weird to me. That why would you go through the trouble up here, not down here? Maybe it was because the coat was going to hide the legs, and so it didn't matter in some, maybe that was the idea when they were making it. They were like, well, I don't see that it's really going to be that big of a deal because, and maybe that is the idea. Either way, I'm really happy with these two figures. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I'm probably going to pull his head off a couple of times. And try to put it back on a couple of times and see if I can't loosen it up a little bit. It's got a real solid pop though. So I mean, like, I know that it's going on, and I don't see any problems with the neck. I don't see any issues with the ball joint here. So push it back down there. There, I got like a little pop. It almost seems like it's a little better already, but now see that head turn is still pretty tight. If anybody else has one of these Wolverines, let me know if you've experienced the same thing with the head that I did, or if maybe that's just me. Maybe the one that I got has a bit of a funny head, and maybe that's just something that I'm going to have to deal with. Maybe I'll have to put it in water and kind of ease it back out or whatever and get it on there. And I don't know. Maybe that, like I said, maybe that's just me. But either way, I don't feel like this is going to be a big deal. And I really like the size difference in characters because I think that's important, and I think that means the scale is absolutely going to be fantastic on these 97s. And I have 4 more of them to hunt down because I want the entire 97 line so far. I may start cherry picking as I get into the line and see other things show up here and there that either I want or don't want. That's inevitable. X-Men is huge, and I'm not going to want every single thing because, quite frankly, X-Men is one of those gigantic properties that you either keep up with or you drown. And I drowned a long time ago when I stopped caring about how ridiculous the comic books could and would get. It got to be too much. They were releasing too much, and as far as I'm concerned, they oversaturated X-Men around the point of X-Men Red. At that point, there was so much to buy and so many books that were going nowhere. Like, hey, here's this, it runs 3 issues, this, it runs 3 issues, this runs 15 issues, this runs 10 issues, this runs 30 issues, this is 44 issues, this is 5 issues. And I'm like, and every single one of them was tying together and being like, hey, read this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. And I was finally at the point where then they were releasing characters that I just didn't like freaking Doomsday Hulk, Grey Hulk with Wolverine claws. I don't want that guy. I have zero interest in that guy. I don't want to read that guy. I don't care to know about that guy. And yet, if I'm reading the Weapon X books are like, by the way, now you have to go to this, but I don't want to do that. And I did a whole rant on that back years ago when I was trying to keep up with all that stuff, and it's one of the reasons that I left the X-Men. There are other reasons in terms of that, but that doesn't stop the fact that I love the X-Men, and I love that X-Men series, and I'm actually about to go back through it, because I'm going to go back and watch that series, because this one's coming out. I mean, like, I want to be all caught back up, and I want to have everything fresh in my mind as to where I was with the series, and really get my mind back into how I feel about the series, how it's aged, what it feels like in general, what I like and don't like, so that when the new one shows up, I can then kind of put myself back into that world and see what they've changed, what they're continuing, what the voice actors, what their takes on it and everything. I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm literally excited for an X-Men property coming out, and I haven't been that way for a good while now. And they got toys to go with it, and I can't wait to stock the shelf up there with these X-Men toys. Fantastic. But I have now added Wolverine and Gambit to the shelf. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.